Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the DC Multiverse Collect and Connect Killer Croc Wave KATANA figure, which is one that I was actually very excited about. I've always wanted a decent figure of KATANA to add to my DCUC collection. This isn't exactly a DCUC figure, but it's close enough that it'll probably fit in at least a little bit, and I'm guessing that's how most people are looking at this DC Multiverse line. It's not a good enough line on its own for people to want to collect it, really. But as an addendum to a now extinct line, I think it's probably okay in some respects for some spot fillers. And that's what this is. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This figure stands just about 17 centimeters, which makes it pretty close to 6 and say 5/8 inches, which means she's kind of tall. They're definitely creeping up in scale just like most of the other lines. Here she is against DCSH Batman. Not really in scale. I guess the heights are kind of close enough that you could do it, but she's definitely too big. She's along the lines of like the Storm Collectible Scorpion. Definitely bigger than Batman. And here she is up against the Marvel Legends figure. Height-wise, again, it's doable. She's definitely a little bit bulky compared to your average 1/12, air quotes, collectible. And here it is. They didn't have to do much to get this figure right. It's a very basic design, and they still managed to only make it okay. The silver paint job is pretty good. The line work around the torso is pretty clean. The red part's solid enough. It's nice and opaque. It's alright. The silver they used is nice and shiny. That's pretty good. I will say, though, the sculpt is very soft on this figure. It doesn't look terrible. Like, at first glance, it looks fine, but if you look at any part of her body, it just looks like it's unfinished, like it's a blank dummy body. Like she's made out of pudding. There's no real detail there. I don't know. I kind of like it, not just because I like pudding, but I also don't like it because it doesn't have like any real shape to it. It's very strange. I don't know what they're doing there. Whoever's making these DC Multiverse figures is not good at making figures. It's just, they're not good. I'm sorry. The proof is in the pudding. Set that one up. That was a long one. I set that joke up for a while and it finally paid off a whole 20 seconds later. Anyway, the best part about this figure is probably the face, but it's also not very good. The eyes are very narrow. The paint job's okay, but I don't know. I haven't seen her drawn with eyes that narrow. Maybe that's a thing, but even on the box, they don't look quite like that. So it's not terrible, but it's relatively clean, and the hair has shading in it, so I'll give them a little bit of credit. So aesthetically speaking, this figure gets like I want to say 7, but because it has no real sculpt to it, I'm going to just say like 6.5 for the aesthetic. As far as accessories go, we do have a fist hand for the right side and a gripping hand for her sword, and we have her sword, which is well enough painted for the handle, I guess, but the sword itself is pretty poorly sculpted. It's not very good. So 5 out of 10 for the accessories, and now it's time for the articulation. The head can look up and down. It has a hinge and a ball peg is what it feels like. I don't want to pull on it and risk breaking it, but it moves around well enough. It'll be good enough for your poses. You'll be fine. Shoulder does go up better than horizontal. That's fine. Full rotation. We have just a single jointed elbow, less than 90 degrees. You get your swivel down there. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. This side, while it can't go quite as far, it still has plenty of good range, even though the shoulder pad is there, so that's pretty good. Diaphragm joint is mostly just a soft ab crunch. It's pretty floppy. It doesn't lean side to side, but it will rotate a little bit, but not very well, so that blows. For the hips, they don't work that well compared to some of the other figures in the line, but they're not terrible. You do have to bring them forward just a bit for them to go out to the side, but they do go out pretty far. And going forward, almost all the way, so that's fine. You do get a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and then for the ankle, it goes all the way back and all the way forward, and then you get an absolutely worthless swivel. So very rudimentary articulation, poorly engineered, poorly implemented. Articulation on this figure gets only a 6 out of 10. Final verdict on this figure is if it wasn't a character I wanted, I wouldn't recommend it at all, but I know a lot of you are probably like me and do want to add this character to your collection, and a lot of the issues can be hidden. Like if you just stick her on her shelf like that, it's not going to look too bad, but if you get too close, she does look like pudding, and her articulation isn't great, but it's going to be good enough, so I'll give it an overall rating of I don't know, I guess 6.5 out of 10. It's just good enough to spot fill. You're not going to be impressed. It's not going to give you any extra enjoyment, but you'll be happy enough you got a figure of Katana to add to your collection. And some pudding. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should, because I have new videos up just about every single day with thousands of videos already on the channel. So make sure you come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.